Learning the Sicha of Seitzei Beis. Seitzei Beis is a Sicha that the Rebbe said on Shabbos Parshas Seitzei, Yud Gimel Elul Tavshin Yud Dalid, which Yud Gimel Elul is the Yom HaNisuin, the anniversary of the Friedrich Rebbe, who got married in the year Shnas Tafresh Nun Zayin, 1897, and the Sicha was said in 1954. Now, the whole Farbrengen was pretty much dedicated to this, and the fact that there were a few chsanim getting married. The mimer of this Sicha, the mimer that was said over here, is the famous mimer L'Chadoidi. Which we all say at our weddings. So yeah, it's pretty chashav Farbrengen. And then the Rebbe said like the Rebbe started the Farbrengen saying today is the anniversary of the Yechidish on the Sea Yisrael and Malam Mekayim the Rebbe. The reason that people think that the wedding was on Tesvav Elul is because Yud Gimel Elul was on Friday that year, and therefore they made the Sudas HaNisuin on Sunday, but the Chassan itself was Yud Gimel Elul. Nisuin Bechlal is a general thing, especially in the Gay and Nisuin Shal B'nai Yechidai Shal Nisi Yisrael Malam Mekayim Ish Klali. So there's definitely it's a klalistic Indian, an Indian klali of an ish klali. He says like this: the reason why marriage is an Indian klali, is an interesting Farbrengen to really understand marriage according to Chassidus. You can understand it based on what the Zohar says, that the truth is that the neshama of the chassan and the neshama of the kala are one neshama. You always hear this, but here's the source. But when they come down here, they're split into two. And for many years, one doesn't know about the existence of the other. And when they get married, the two chalokim meet. And that's why we could understand the lashon regarding somebody who's not married. The Zohar refers to someone not married, plag guf, half a guf. Why? Because the guf is masim, it fits the neshama. The chomer has to fit the tzura. The form has to fit, the matter has to fit the form. Now the neshama came into the world in a way that ish and isha are two chalakim of the same neshama. So the guf is also like this, that ish and isha are two chalakim of one guf, and therefore they're called plag gufa. And because the shleimus haneshama happens at the time of a wedding, because before the wedding the person was half, so his neshama was not b'shleimus. So too ba'avoidasa, in the avodah that before the nisuim, your avodah can't be b'shleimus because you don't have shleimus and neshama. But only when you get married, you have shleimus and neshama, you could have avodah b'shleimus. So from here it's understood that nisuim is an inyan klali, a general thing by the person, because your avodah is dependent on it. And just like the birth of the neshama, your birthday is an inyan klali, so too when your neshama is complete at your wedding, inyan klali, and that probably explains why the Rebbe did make a kach about the anniversary, his own anniversary. And in general, the famous, stories about the Rebbe reminding people that's actually their anniversary. Now he says like this: not only is the anniversary, the wedding, a klolistic thing by a person, but it's a klolistic thing l'mayla, because avodah down here has a pull in l'mayla. And a dira is just like we imagine a dira in this world, just like a dira when a person has a home. It adds into the person. When you live in a good house, it expands you. So too, through Avodah Neshamas Yisrael, you have a dir lo yisparech, and you get an ur chadash higher than the ur that was before the tzimtzum. Like Chassidus explains, that the tachlis of all the Avodah is not that we should have the same ur that was here before the tzimtzum. What's the chiddush? What's the uftu? What's the accomplishment? But rather ur chadash. And because Avodas Adam is pale in the whole shleim, in the whole ishtalshlos, that you get a new light, and the shleimus of Avodah happens by wedding, so a wedding is an inyan klali gam l'mayla. Then the Rebbe talks about the fact that this is by every person's wedding. How much more so ish klali nisi yisrael, which is definitely a very big inyan klali. And not only for that generation, but for all generations. The Tikkun Zohar says on the pasuk from Keheles, dor helef dor generation comes, the generation goes. That the Pirush says that the dar that goes, that left, the first generation, who are dar bar, it's the same dar. What does it mean? That the dar that was here in the world comes back in the Gilgul to fix the world, the avodah that they lacked in the previous time. Dar bar, dar helech, dar bar, it's the same dar. Quite a fascinating concept. So something that happened in one dar is a klali for all days. And that's why when the Fili Rebbe got married, there was a big simcha, because then something in klali, the negel chol days, was accomplished, therefore it brought a great simcha. And because Olam Shachas in this world happened through Torah, therefore there was a lot of chassidus without akbalas. As we know, the story that was told that happened then, that when the Rebbe Rashab, the Fili Rebbe's father, said the Maimer Samach to Samach, and spoke about Simcha Peirit together, he stopped in the middle of the Maimer. He said something is, locked. In other words, something Nis'alam Etzleinin was hidden from him. He got up from his place, went to the place where he had his ksav, looked in the Maimer, and then came back and continued the Maimer. Says that you can't explain that kipshuto, because bichlal, things like this didn't happen ever. And also, why should something disappear in his mind? Why should he forget something? So the pirush of the Rebbe Rashab's words nis'alim is nis'alim limkode. It went back to its source. In other words, in order to be able to bring a greater amshacha, you had to go to a place higher than Kedei Adishim. You have to go back to the first makar, and so that you could bring back from the original makar. But nevertheless, things didn't happen like this often, at all, pretty much, only by the Fili Rebbe's wedding, because there was an Inyan Klali, and therefore you got an Ur Chadash. And Al Pia Yadua, that these things happen with Kufas Hashanah, especially when there's events like these. As the Rebbe was talking about, there's weddings happening, Hashem should give all the brachas, and then we don't know, actually, it was on Shabbos Farbrengen, we don't have the last few words that Rebbe said. So then the Rebbe went into the Sicha that we learned. In the context of marriage, mentioning that there are a few bachim that are getting married. When you start and you say that avodah, you should do a maika, machshava dibur maisa, to make sure you don't fall. Besides the etzam yidida and the avodah ki yipar lanayf. Then the Rebbe, after the Sicha, the Rebbe said regarding the Maimer l'chadodi taftesh peites, that in this Maimer has in yonim from all that we say in the Sienu. And the Fili Rebbe said there's an invitation from the Neshamas of Tzadikim that came to the Chasna of the Rebbe. So therefore, as we spoke then, it's the right thing that every Chasna before the Chuppah, the Chassan or somebody else that he can appoint should say the Maimer of l'chadodi as an invitation to the neshamas of tzaddikim that will come to be mishtatef in the chasna. Quite amazing. Then the Rebbe continued based on the Farbrengen that we just learned. The Rebbe says like this. In regarding what we spoke about previously, sorry, I'm just looking. It looks like, the next Sicha, look at the Sicha, Seitzei Gimel, was from the same Farbrengen as a continuation of what we said, but we'll leave that for next year. But over here, the Rebbe said that we spoke about in regards to the wedding. It's unnecessary to mention that someone who didn't do it before the marriage should at least do it b'meshach shivas imam, and whoever didn't do it then the 30 days after the wedding is better than 60 days, and 60 days is better than 90 days. And the point is that Basisal Maika is not something the Chasanim dafke, and as if after the wedding you're potter from it. No, it's constant from wedding onwards. And the earlier you start, the better. So even those that got married a long time ago and are wearing their sirtuks, the black ones or the blue ones, and this is 1954. Today we're all into the kapatas and the insides, the reds, the greens, the grays. Never says a ganze inyan gewon, the whole thing. What's going to be the color of the sirtuk, the first sirtuk that you get, and everything's dependent on after that. Never says, obviously a bit cynically, never saying in Sefer Pardes, which is a Kabbalah Sefer, there's a whole shar called Shar Agvanim, the shar of colors, shades. But I don't know if people who are kaching in the colors of the situks are having kavanah for the shades in the pardes. But for whatever reason, they make a whole inyan. And the Rebbe comes back and says, even those who are marrying their kids now, if you didn't make a maika till now, you should make a Maike. Yeah. Shekoyach and Mirz Hashem Simchas Bayim Zal.